I would like to thank Craig J for sending me this story. It has been a long minute since I've done a incest story on my channel, and maybe that was for good reason. But this one right here is probably one of the most graphic ones I will do. So in this picture, you see two brothers, and my goodness, look at them haircuts. Their names are Aaron and Petey Scwartz. What have I told you about them last names, especially the ones that end with the letter Z or the T to Z? You know what I mean. The skis and steens and steins and shirt and T and Z. Y'all know what I mean. But anyway, these two brothers are Amish. And these two right here impregnated their 13-year-old sister. And I'm trying to figure out which one actually impregnated her, because it couldn't have come from both of them. It had to come from one, unless, there was a bit of a mixture, if you get what I mean. I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but y'all get what I mean. But they impregnated their 13-year-old sister, and I see that she just gave birth earlier this month. And guess what? Surprise, surprise. Neither one of them is going to be doing any jail time for this. This is an issue that PC does not like to talk about. Along with them opioids, this is something else that's flourishing through Palmdale. And it doesn't get that much traction. This is a very sick and disgusting act. It's bad enough that the sister is pregnant at 13, but she's pregnant by one, or I don't know how, both of her brothers, after they committed an incestuous act upon her. Now, I think one of the brothers is 22 and the other one is 18, which technically means that they're both adults, but even so, they're directly tied to her through blood, which means that child is going to be having some issues, because they already said the child's been born. That child is going to have some straight up issues because the bloodline is too close. But let me get into it. Two Amish brothers have pled guilty to molesting their 13-year-old sister, but none of them will likely be serving prison time. Aaron Scwartz, age 22, and his brother Petey, age 18, were arrested in June after being accused of repeatedly raping their underage sister, who was 12 years old when the attack started. Authorities first became aware of the sexual assault when the sister became pregnant by one of the brothers, the County Citizen reports. The brothers were arrested, and Petey and Aaron each allegedly admitted to having sex with the girl 6 times over the past year. Their two younger brothers, both minors, also allegedly had sex with the sister. So they basically were passing this girl around through all the boys in that family. If there's a father, I'm almost scared to say that he probably touched her too. Unless the father isn't around and they're just with the mother. But that's another question I got to beg. Where were the parents? But see, this is a lot of the stuff that be going on in the Mormon states. But they don't like to talk about that either. In Utah, I called it the Mormon state for a reason, because they flourish through there. That is sick. It's bad enough that she was raped by her two older brothers, one of them getting her pregnant, but they said allegedly she was having sex, or they were having sex with her. I mean, the two younger siblings, the two younger brothers, were having sex with her too. They literally turned their own sister into like a live-in prostitute. That's basically what she's become. She's literally became the household concubine. That's a better way of putting it. They turned their sister into a whole concubine, and not even with outsiders, but people from within. And that's another thing that PC don't talk about, is them trying to keep that bloodline intact. And the stuff that they will do with each other to make sure they accomplish that. When asked whether he'd do it again, Aaron told investigators, "Not to a little one like that," according to a probable cause statement obtained by Oxygen.com. Now listen to that. He says, "Not to a little one like that." Look at how he referred to his sister. Not to a little one like that. What does he mean when he says like that? Does he mean he won't mess with the sister again? And that he'll mess with another child that's not his sister? Or will he mess with someone who's over 18 but still continue to rape them? Because at the end of the day, what these two did and the two younger brothers did was rape. It was basically incestuous rape. But see, the way that he said that, it comes off to me in a tone of nonchalant, not even really worried about the consequences of their actions. But they want to say that we are savages. This is savage Neanderthal beastly behavior, which is also why I keep going back to, they are not far removed from their ancestors. The 13-year-old girl gave birth in early September, County Prosecutor Ben Bergstresser told the county Citizen. The two men were initially released on a $100,000 bond and forbidden from coming near their sister or other children. They pled not guilty at an arraignment in July 9th. However, before further court proceedings began September 8th, the brothers reached a plea agreement with Bergstresser, the county Citizen's report. In exchange for pleading guilty to 2 counts of child molestation apiece, Aaron and Petey were each given suspended prison sentences totaling 15 years. Instead of going to prison, the two men will spend the next 5 years on probation and must complete the Missouri Sex Offender Treatment Program and perform 100 hours of community service in the next year. Don't sit up here and tell me, I always say this when I do stories like this, do not sit up here and tell me that palm-colored privilege is not real. These two raped their own sister. One of them got her pregnant. She gives birth. She was being molested even by her other male siblings. They pled not guilty, but gave them a plea agreement when they decided to plead guilty. And instead of them going to jail, all they get is probation and having to complete 100 hours of community service and just have to stay away from kids. I'm looking right here and I'm maybe jumping the gun, but I don't see anything in here talking about them having to register as a sex offender. Which means if this story decides to fade into obscurity, those who've never heard of it will run into these guys and not know what they did. Let's see. They must each also write an apology letter to their community within 30 days and pay $250 to the Law Enforcement Restitution Fund. That's nothing for them considering how high their bond was. Was it $100,000 at 5%? I'm sorry, 10% is $10,000. And they was able to pay that like in no time. So this $250 ain't nothing. Bergstresser expressed disappointment about this ruling in an interview with Missouri outlet KY3. But despite the Scwartz's alleged confessions to detectives, he said he didn't have enough evidence to push for a harsher conviction. All the evidence was in the 13-year-old's belly. Hello? There was the evidence right there. That's why I say it's two different Americas, ours and theirs. I can't rely on something that was said or may have not been said at a different time. I can't present a piece of paper, well, here it is, now you have to convict him, Bergstresser said. He told the county Citizen that Aaron and Petey would have been eaten alive in the state prison system as they were very immature relative to their respective ages. Oh my God. In other words, they have to think of their future. You know, they always got to think of palm color's future because, you know, our futures don't mean shit. Our futures, as far as they're concerned, is already written out for us. And if we die by it, that's, you know, so be it. But them, they got to protect. They are literally protecting child molesters and rapists. Let's take out the fact, even though it's going to be hard, that these two raped repeatedly their sister and got her pregnant. They're still rapists and child molesters, which means they're going to go out into the world and probably do it again. Even if it's not to a child, they might do it to an adult. And because they really didn't have any, like, they didn't really hit them with the heavy charges and they didn't convict them on anything, that means that when it comes to the adding and totaling up on percentage wise of, you know, in the category of rape and sexual assault and molestation, they won't even be counted for that. And I was right. They don't have to register as a sex offender, because if they did, it would have been in the article and it's not there. All they have to do is 100 hours of community service, pay a fine, write a letter, and stay on probation for 5 years. That's it. That is it. That is all their sister is going to get in a form of justice after she was repeatedly raped over the last year by not only these two in the picture, but other siblings, and getting pregnant by one of these two right here. And just imagine, she's going to have to look at that child and know that the child was born out of rape, but not rape from somebody else, but rape from her own sibling. I got to ask y'all a question down in the comment section. Would this be grounds for you, like, if you had it your way, would this be grounds for getting an abortion? Because a lot of people, it's a touchy subject. Would you have an abortion? Or would you suggest a child get an abortion? It says Bergstresser also added that the brothers had already received very severe punishment within the local Amish community, a community reluctant to accept non-Amish courts authority. I wonder what their punishments would be. Because if it's something like this, then that's really not harsh at all. And that's probably why, because they're Amish, they're protected. They're protected. So I'm not really so surprised that they didn't get the proper punishment that they should have received. I'm not surprised at all. It says the Scwartz's attorney, William Worsham, could not be immediately reached for comment. This was crazy. That's wild. You can only feel bad for one person, and that's the sister. Like, she didn't stand a chance. She literally got raped and molested by every male in that household, and one of them got her pregnant. Now, I don't know how old the other younger siblings are. I don't even know if she's the younger sibling, but something tells me the other siblings might be minors, and these two probably coerced them into doing it. I hope that the women out there who are looking to date and mate come across this story and keep those pictures in mind, to steer clear of those type of people, and to keep your kids far the hell away from them. Because the fact that they didn't have to register as a sex offender means that they can do this again and not violate any type of sex offender policy that's put on them. So I was literally about to upload, or get ready to upload, this video to be premiered, which you're watching right now. And this came across my page when I typed them in, because I was actually looking for a link to the article so I could find out their names. And because I was thinking about changing the title of the video. And I came across this article right here, which was posted 3 hours ago. Look at this. Missouri Amish brothers break 5-year probation agreement on child molestation charges. I'm like, goddamn, they were just given the probation sentence, even though it was some bullshit. So I'm thinking to myself, what did they do? Did they go and mess with another child just that fast? Or what was it? Well, it turns out, because I'm not going to read the entire article, that it was discovered that their attorneys allowed those two monsters to return back to the same home that their sister, the one that they've been molesting for over a year and got pregnant, they let them go back into that same household where she currently still stays at. And the part of the probation was for them not to have any contact with her whatsoever. So now, who knows what's about to happen, because they broke the probationary period, which means now is a possibility that they can go to jail because they broke it just that fast. And the attorneys most likely are going to be dealt with as well. Like, did they not think people were going to not find out about this? Because the story just came out like a couple days ago. And here we are a couple days later. And this happens. As a matter of fact, let me scroll down so I can make sure that I have everything correct, because I don't want to get everything wrong. They says Aaron C.M. Scwartz and P.D. Scwartz, both members of the Amish community in Seymour, Missouri, now have allegedly broken the terms of their agreement by having contact with the victim of the crime after signing the sex offender supervision agreement that prohibited contact with the victim. Two Webster County residents, Tiffany Hill and Mel Pleasant, have since created the Child Advocacy Against Pedophilia and called for the resignations of both Burke Stresser and Judge Michael O. Hendrickson, arguing that they allowed the two Amish brothers, mind you, an attorney and a judge, did this, or allowed this, to return to the same home where the victim resides, making it impossible for them to avoid contact. There are some sick-ass people in this world, but see, this is the type of people like that judge and that attorney that allowed those two to go back home where their sister is, the one who was the victim. That is the kind of element that they love to put out there on the stands, like, as judges, and put in these courtrooms as lawyers. When I think of this, I think of Aaron Persky, who's, thank God, no longer a judge, who back then, a couple years ago, with the whole, what's his name? You know who I'm talking about. The privileged palm-colored boy that raped that Asian girl behind that dumpster when she was drunk. I forgot his name. But you know who I'm talking about. The one whose dad said, I don't want my son to suffer for 20 minutes of pleasure. I'll never forget that. But yeah, this is brand new, and I'm glad that I went to go look for this. And I wasn't even looking for this. It just came up in the search feed. And I'm like, they broke the probation. At first I'm thinking, like, is this old, or was this in conjunction with what I just read, or is this something new? And sure enough, it is published 3 hours ago. I'm actually recording this at 6:14 p.m. on the 29th of September. Y'all let me know about what y'all think about this.